see. Show on. Yep, here we go. So, yeah, welcome to you all, and God bless everybody here. And today's live stream, well, this evening for me, we're going to read Exodus 14 and 15, Psalms 55, 56, and 57, and Mark 4. And there could be some extras that we read. We just see how we're getting on for time. Generally, we like these live streams just to run for 30 minutes to an hour. So I'll just get my Bible in a minute and we'll start. And I read from the New King James Version, but you can follow along with whatever version you have. So first, turning to Exodus 14, and Exodus is the second book of the Bible and the second book of the Old Testament. So Exodus 14. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, that they turn and camp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, opposite Baal-zephon. You shall camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are bewildered by the land, the wilderness has closed them in. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart so that he will pursue them, and I will gain honour over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. Now it was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people, and they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. Also he took 600 choice chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt with captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel, and the children of Israel went out with boldness. So the Egyptians pursued them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his horsemen and his army, and overtook them camping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. So they were very afraid, and the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. Then they said to Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you so dealt with us to bring us up out of Egypt? Is this not the word that we told you in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. And the Lord said to Moses, Why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward, but lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I indeed will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. So I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots and his horsemen. Then the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gained honor for myself over Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen. And the angel of God who went before the camp of Israel moved and went behind them. And the pillar of cloud went from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. Thus it was a cloud and darkness to the one, and it gave light by night to the other, so that the one did not come near the other all that night. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea into dry land, and the waters were divided. So the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on the dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. Now it came to pass in the morning watch that the Lord looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of the Egyptians, and he took off their chariot wheels, so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians. Then the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians, on their chariots and on their horsemen. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and when the morning appeared, the sea returned to its full depth, while the Egyptians were fleeing into it. So the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. But the children of Israel had walked on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on their right hand and on their left. So the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Thus Israel saw the great work which the Lord had done in Egypt. So the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. So we'll just have a minute's break and then we'll read chapter 15. And a big thank you and welcome to everybody here with us today. I know it's early morning for most of you, 9:40 p.m. for me here. So now reading Exodus chapter 15. Then Moses and the children of Israel sang this song to the Lord and spoke, saying, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him, my father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, has become glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, has dashed the enemy in pieces. And in the greatness of your excellence, you have overthrown those who rose against you. You sent forth your wrath, it consumed them like stubble. And with the blast of your nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright like a heap. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil, my desire shall be satisfied on them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. You in your mercy have led forth the people whom you have redeemed. You have guided them in your strength to your holy habitation. The people will hear and be afraid. Sorrow will take hold of the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom will be dismayed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, will take hold of them. All the inhabitants of Canaan will melt away. Fear and dread will fall on them. By the greatness of your arm, they will be as still as a stone. Till your people pass over, O Lord, till the people pass over whom you have purchased. You will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Lord, which you have made, for your own dwelling, the sanctuary, O Lord, which your hands have established. The Lord shall reign forever and ever. Now, Exodus 15, verse 19. For the horses of Pharaoh went with his chariots and his horsemen into the sea, and the Lord brought back the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. Then Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea. Then they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Now when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses, saying, What shall we drink? So he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When he cast it into the waters were made sweet. There he made a statute and an ordinance for them. And there he tested them and said, if you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you which I have brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees. So they camped there by the waters. And next week we'll read Exodus 16. So I'll just note all that down, and possibly we'll read Exodus 17 as well. I'm just looking to see where I'll put my pen. Okay, give me a second. I think I'll have to go and get my pen out of my bag. I think I might have taken it with me this morning to church. Oh, yes, I did. I did take it with me this morning to church. And next we're going to read Psalm 55. But I'll just write down for next week so that we have it all properly noted. And that will be June 18, and at around the same time as what we're going live now. So 16 and 17 next week, Exodus 16 and 17. So turning to Psalm 55. And you can find Psalms pretty much about the middle of your Bible. And of course, if somebody's got a passage you'd like to share, please feel free to share it here, and I'll read it out, share it with you all as well. So, Psalm 55. To the chief musician with stringed instruments, a contemplation of David. Give ear to my prayer, O God, and do not hide yourself from my supplication. Attend to me and hear me. I am restless in my complaint and moan noisily, because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked. For they bring down trouble upon me, and in wrath they hate me. My heart is severely pained within me, and the terrors of death have fallen upon me. Fearfulness and trembling have come upon me, and horror has overwhelmed me. So I said, Oh, that I had wings like a dove! I would fly away and be at rest. Indeed, I would wander far off and remain in the wilderness. Selah. I would hasten my escape from the windy storm and tempest. Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go around on its walls. Iniquity and trouble are also in the midst of it. Destruction is in its midst. Oppression and deceit do not depart from its streets. For it is not an enemy who reproaches me, then I could bear it. Nor is it one who hates me who has exalted himself against me. Then I could hide from him. But it was you, a man my equal, my companion and my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked to the house of God in the throng. Let death seize them. Let them go down alive into hell, for wickedness is in their dwellings and among them. As for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning and at noon I will pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He has redeemed my soul in peace from the battle that was against me, for there were many against me. God will hear and afflict them, even he who abides from of old. Salah. Because they do not change, therefore they do not fear God. He has put forth his hands against those who were at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Cast your burden on the Lord, and he shall sustain you. He shall never permit the righteous to be moved. But you, O God, shall bring them down to the pit of destruction. Bloodthirsty and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in you. And then in a minute, we're going to read Psalm 56. And of course, welcome to everybody listening, and a big thank you to you all. And a big thank you to everybody who listens to this later, and hopefully you all get some blessings from this reading today or tonight. So Psalm 56. To the chief musician, set to the silent dove in distant lands, a Michtam of David when the Philistines captured him in Gath. Be merciful to me, O God, for the man would swallow me up. Fighting all day he oppresses me. My enemies would hound me all day. For there are many who fight against me, O Most High. Whenever I am afraid, I will trust in you. In God, I will praise his word. In God, I have put my trust. I will not fear. What can flesh do to me? All day they twist my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They gather together, they hide, they mark my steps. When they lie in wait for my life, shall they escape by iniquity? In anger cast down the people, O God. You number my wanderings. Put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? When I cry out to you, then my enemies will turn back. This I know because God is for me. In God I will praise his word. In the Lord I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? Vows made to you are blinding upon me, O God. I will render praises to you, for you have delivered my soul from death. Have you not kept my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living? Oh, Crubby. Hi there, Crubby. Great to see you, and thanks so much for coming in here today. We've just read Psalm 56, and in a minute we'll read Psalm 57. And of course, if you've got any passages you'd like to share, you're most welcome to do so. So, Psalm 57. To the chief musician, set to Do Not Destroy, a michtam of David when he fled from Saul into the cave. Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me, for my soul trusts in you. And in the shadow of your wings I will make my refuge, until these calamities have passed by. I will cry out to God Most High, to God who performs all things for me. He shall send from heaven and save me. He reproaches the one who would swallow me up. Selah. God shall send forth his mercy and his truth. My soul is among lions. I wait among the sons of men, who are set on fire, whose teeth are spears and arrows, and their tongue a sharp sword. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be above all the earth. They have prepared a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They have dug a pit before me. Into the midst of it they themselves have fallen. Selah. My heart is steadfast, O God. My heart is steadfast. I will sing and give praise. Awake, my glory. Awake, lute and harp. I will awaken the dawn. I will praise you, O Lord, among the peoples. I will sing to you among the nations. For your mercy reaches unto the heavens, and your truth unto the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be above all the earth. And next week we're going to read Psalm 58 and Psalm 59 and also Psalm 60. So I'll just note that down just so that I can keep track of everything here. So Psalm 58, 59 and Psalm 60. And now turning to Mark 4. Mark, the second book of the New Testament. So Mark 4, starting at verse 1. And again he began to teach by the sea, and a great multitude was gathered to him, so that he got into a boat and sat in it on the sea, and the whole multitude was on the land facing the sea. Then he taught them many things by parables, and said to them in his teaching, Behold, listen, behold, a sower went out to sow. And it happened as he sowed that some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds of the air came and devoured it. Some fell on stony ground, where it did not have much earth, and immediately it sprang up because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no crop. But other seed fell on good ground, and yielded a crop that sprang up, increased, and produced, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. And he said to them, He who has ears to hear, let him hear. But when he was alone, those around him with the 12 asked him about the parable. And he said to them, To you it has been given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God, but to those who are outside all things come in parables, so that seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest they should turn and their sins be forgiven them. Wild Edibles, hi there, great to see you. And we're reading Mark chapter 4 at the moment, and reading on from verse 13. And he said to them, Do you not understand this parable? How then will you understand all the parables? The sower sows the word, and these are the ones by the wayside where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan comes immediately and takes away the word that was sown in their hearts. These likewise are the ones sown on stony ground, who when they hear the word immediately receive it with gladness, and they have no root in themselves, and so endure only for a time. Afterward, when tribulation or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they stumble. Now these are the ones sown among thorns. They are the ones who hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the desires for other things, entering in, choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. But these are the ones sown on good ground, those who hear the word, accept it, and bear fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. Also he said to them, Is a lamp brought to be put under a basket or under a bed? Is it not to be set on a lampstand? For there is nothing hidden which will not be revealed, nor has anything been kept secret, but that it should come to light. If anyone has ears to hear it, let him hear. And verse 24. Then he said to them, Take heed what you hear. With the same measure you use, it will be measured to you, and to you who hear, more will be given. For whoever has, to him more will be given. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And he said, The kingdom of God is as if a man should scatter seed on the ground, and should sleep by night and rise by day, and the seed should sprout and grow. He himself does not know how, for the earth yields crops by itself, first the blade, then the head, after that the full grain in the head. But when the grain ripens, immediately he puts in the sickle, because the harvest has come. Then he said, To what shall we liken the kingdom of God? Or with what parable shall we picture it? It is like a mustard seed, which when it is sown on the ground is smaller than all the seeds on earth. But when it is sown, it grows up and becomes greater than all the herbs, and shoots out large branches so that the birds of the air may nest under its shade. And With many such parables he spoke the word to them, as they were able to hear it. But without a parable he did not speak to them. And when they were alone, he explained all things to his disciples. On the same day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." Now, when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat as he was, and other little boats were also with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already filling. But he was in the storm, asleep on a pillow. And they awoke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Then he arose and rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" And they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, "Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" So, does anybody have any requests or prayer requests? You're most welcome to share them. Also, praise reports or any testimonies. And next week, we're going to read from Mark 5, which I'll just note that down. And if anybody has a passage you'd like to share, you're most welcome to share it. And I'll find it and I'll read it out. Well, I do have some prayer requests. If you could pray for the leaders of my home church group, Stanley and Jaya, that would be much appreciated. Praise the world is still together. Yeah. Also, if you could pray for me. I know that you've had some prayer requests in the past while. You're most welcome to share them here. Oh yes, those terrible fires in Canada. Yes, I have heard all about them, and yes, definitely Canada does need rain, so we can pray for rain for Canada and pray for an end to these terrible fires. Thank you for reminding me of this wild. Also, if everybody could pray for Carol, she's in hospital again. Oh, thank you, Wild. Yes, yeah, times are pretty tough here, but I know Canada is also going through pretty tough times economically as well. So we know we're not alone with that, I'm afraid. And of course, we will be back here next week about the same time. I know it's quite early for you all, or most of you. Oh yes, thank you, Wild. Yes, yeah, they did have it bad with the wildfires that time. Yeah, that had it bad one time before I was even in Australia as well. I remember hearing. Yes, absolutely. Prayers do work. I believe you were wanting some prayers for your son some time back, and I did pray for your son, and hoping all is going better for him. 8 a.m. Yeah, I thought it'd be something like that. Yeah. So it would be about 7:30 a.m. when I start your time. I start at 9:30 p.m. my time here. 9:30 p.m. on a Sunday night here. Late for me, but hopefully I can catch most of my viewers actually on a Sunday by going this time. Well, I'll continue praying for him. Yeah, still hurting and laid off. I pray his healing. Yes, absolutely. And I will remember him in my prayers as well. And thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And anybody else who listens here, I do have a lot of people who will replay this. Please do remember Wild Sun in your prayers, and also with the situation in Canada with all the wildfires and very dry weather. If you could remember Canada in your prayers also. But we'll probably be here another couple of minutes, and then we'll call it a day. You're most welcome, Wild. Most welcome. I do have a couple of playlists pinned in this description also. Songs of praise and also some inspiring lessons and videos from Christian preachers and leaders. So plenty there to check out if you'd like some more. And I do have that pinned in the description for all of these, and I do have all of these I put into a playlist as well. So if anybody wants to go back to some earlier passages, I do have it all linked and the passages listed down. All the animals are thriving and happy, having young. That's really good news there, Wild. Yes. And praying that you don't get any losses there with the animals, and no sickness with the animals. Oh yes, I totally understand. Yes, I know there was an old saying, wherever there's livestock, there's also some that pass away and sickness and all of that as well. Wherever there's livestock. So yes, I certainly totally understand that. Yep, great point there, Wild. Yes, praise for okay health, being strong enough to keep going. Yes, absolutely. Yes, certainly. Things could be so much worse. So we've got to be grateful that he has kept us going through all this too. And we also must remember who is in control of everything. He could stop all the bad things happening straight away if he so desires, or if it's part of his plan. And so just to be in hope that better times will come for us all. I do also have a link if anybody ever wants to come up here to share a verse or something as well. Okay, I think we'll end this live stream in a couple of minutes and call it a night. We'll call it a morning for a lot of you. And of course, a big thank you to all of you who've come in here. And of course, a big thank you to everybody who will run this later. Yes, that's a great point there, Wild. Yes. Looking at what we are grateful for can help the fear associated with the world right now. Well, of course, the enemy's biggest weapon is fear, and we've just got to remember where the fear is coming from, and we've just got to trust in God, trust in the Lord. And of course, he can wipe away all the problems and chase the fear away if we just let him and trust in him. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't actually watch a lot of the news. I think it's often best just to turn it off, and especially the mainstream news coming off the mainstream media. It's all set up just to sow fear and to be clickbaity. So it's often best just to turn it off because they just sensationalize things, and of course, they're trying to get clicks and ad dollars. So the more controversial or fearful type of headline will get them more views, or at least that's what they're hoping on. Yeah, so true. Anyways, we better end up for the night. It's getting late here too. 10:22 p.m. So on a Sunday night. So probably a good time to call it a night for me and get some rest. But a big thank you to everybody who's come in here, and everybody take care and God bless. And until next time, bye bye.